Well, good morning. Good to see you. So glad that we're gathered in all of our spaces. My name is Bob, and looking forward to this time. We've had the last couple weeks a series that we've been setting the table, and we've had a table up here, and we've been setting it and talking about what it looks like for this season of generosity and gratitude. And here we stand on the Sunday before Thanksgiving. I don't know if any of you are excited about that or not, but we are looking forward. We've got kids coming home from college. I saw that some already are home from college. Welcome back. Others are going to be coming in from out of state, and you'll have time together. Some of you, time with family. Others of you, this Thanksgiving will look very different than any that you've had in the past. And so wherever we are in the middle of this, we kick this off today, and we're going to do so by working through a story, a passage in Luke chapter 8, a place where it's one of the most interesting, in my mind, one of the most interesting little vignettes of the way that Jesus is walking through life, curing and caring for people, meeting them and being aware of what's happening. And as we get to the end of today, we are kicking off our Advent season today, a week early. We're kicking it off so that we can begin next week with a very clear movement through Advent. And so before you leave today, there are going to be some things we're going to invite you into over the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. We're going to ask for participation from all of us to see these things happen, because we believe that the very image that Jesus shows us of what it looks like to walk through life is as a path that we get the opportunity to do, and we see this beautiful picture of what he does. So in Luke chapter 8, beginning with verse 40 is where we're going to be. And I just want a little context before we get here. And we're going to walk through this. I'm going to invite you to put yourself in this scene. I'm going to ask that you would consider what it might feel like, what it might sound like, what it might smell like, what the images of closeness might look like. But before this, there are two episodes that take place. One of them, Jesus sails across the lake, and the disciples are with them, Sea of Galilee, and a big storm shows up, and they this encouragement of Jesus not to be scared. They get to the other side, and when they get to the other side, it's in Gentile territory, and they meet a man who is possessed by demons. He lives in the tombs. There are pigs all over the place. And in this scene, for any Jewish reader or anyone that's familiar with the Jewish reality, they would have seen that Jesus was engaged in some stuff that set him back in their minds. How in the world can you be a part of that part of the world, that people, that culture, those animals, that part of death? Because that was something Jesus should have avoided. But that's an important background, because when he gets back on this side of the sea, and there's a crowd of people that are ready for him to be there. They're cheering and waiting on him. I don't know if they're cheering, but they're excited for him to be there. He gets there, and this is where we're going to pick up the story. So when Jesus returned, a crowd welcomed him, for they were all expecting him. Then a man named Jairus, a synagogue leader, came and fell at Jesus' feet, pleading with him to come to his house because his only daughter, a girl of about 12, was dying. Now I want to just pause there. I want you to put yourself in this situation. Imagine that you are part of the crowd awaiting this boat. You see it on the distance in the horizon. You see it get closer and closer. Maybe you've called some friends and told them to get over here. You've texted them and said, hey, this guy, he's coming back. And we create this big group of people. Maybe all of us at all of our venues, we're thinking about what it would look like for Jesus to show up. As the boat gets to shore and he gets out of the boat, and everyone is anticipating his arrival, but there's one guy that just rushes to the front, and he gets down on his knees before Jesus. And I would imagine if this were us, we would do the same. Our daughter's dying, but there is promise of somebody that's going to arrive at the shore that we've seen him do miraculous things before. So we get there, and we're on our knees, and we tell him, God, or Master, come to my house because my daughter is dying. And in this point, now I want to put you in the sense of Jesus. That's always scary, isn't it, to pretend that's the case. But just imagine if someone's come to you and said, hey, my daughter's dying, and you've committed in a way to get there, to care for her. When I was a kid, I remember this, probably I was 4 or 5 years old, something like that. I don't remember exactly when, but I lived in rural Ohio. We had many, many Amish buggies around. And I don't know why, but at some point, my imagination caught the picture of these horses that were running down the road, pulling the cart behind them, and I noticed that they had these things on their eyes. And I'll never forget when I asked my dad, I said, "Dad, what are those things on the eyes of the horses?" And you know what they are? They're blinders, right? He said, "They're blinders." I said, "Well, why would they put blinders on a horse if they need to know where they're going?" And Dad said, "Well, they put blinders on there to keep them from being distracted. They don't want them to see all the things that are happening out here. They want them to keep their vision moving forward and aware of what's going on so they don't startle or scare or whatever." And in life, for all of us, my guess would be, if someone came and said, "Hey, come to my house because my daughter's dying," we would put blinders on and straight away head toward the house with them, right? Like everything else is quiet. Everything else doesn't matter. Everything else is periphery. Because in that point, or at that part of life, there's one place to get to, one person to care for. But that's not exactly what happens. As Jesus was on his way, the crowds almost crushed him. Now get a picture of that. If you've ever left an event with lots and lots of people, and as you're like shuffling along because people are right up against you, you know that feeling? I hate that feeling. I'm always thinking like, I'll just rather sit in my seat until everyone else leaves and then walk out. But I've been caught up in it, and there are times when you don't even choose to move, the crowd moves you. And they're pushing in against you, and it's packed. And I don't know how many people were there, but all I know is that somehow the crowd was tight. And if any of us have kids, you know that it only takes about 2 kids for a room to be crowded. So I don't know how many are there, but there's a crowd that are pushing against. But Jesus is single-minded in what he's doing because he's heading to heal a young lady. And then what doesn't seem to make sense showing up in this picture, a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years, but no one could heal her. Isn't that interesting? There's a crowd pushing in. The person who would be least likely to be known in a crowd was an unclean, low-class woman. Now, I don't say that because that's what I believe, but that's the cultural picture. This was somebody that didn't have a status, and in fact, they probably shouldn't even have been in the crowd because ceremonially they were unclean, and that being unclean in the midst of a crowd of people who are potentially touching you and you touching them is an unhelpful place to be. But she's there. She came up behind him, Jesus, and touched the edge of his cloak, and immediately her bleeding stopped. Just for a second, imagine for 12 years, you've had something going on in your body that not only is a physical problem, which absolutely is the case, but it's also been a relational problem. It's been a religious problem. It's been a status problem. Everything about your world has been caught up in this bleeding that you've experienced for 12 years, and because of it, you have been sidelined from care, from love, from people welcoming you. You're seen as someone that is on the outskirts and should be avoided. And all of a sudden, she's in the middle of the story. She reaches out, touches his cloak, and immediately her bleeding stops. Could you imagine? In that moment, what it would be like for something in your life that you've been struggling with for years and years and years, to in a moment, it's gone. It's done. It's this weight that has been dropped off of your back. But Jesus said, "Someone touched me. I know that power has gone out from me." Then the woman, seeing that she could not go unnoticed, came trembling and fell at his feet. In the presence of all the people, she told why she had touched him and how she had been instantly healed. Then he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace. I skipped the part, I realize. You saw that. I skipped some verses. The guys around him going like, Jesus, how do you know someone touched you? Of course people touched you. And Jesus said, no, it's not that kind of a touch. People bump into me. They're trying to get close to me because they want something or selfishly want to be in my presence. But there was something that happened, that there was someone that had faith that when they came to me, there was healing that was extended to them. And instead of just leaving it go and letting her just kind of wander into the crowd and disappear, this awkward moment where Jesus says, someone not only touched me, but I want to know who you are, and I want to invite you out. And I can only imagine that if you've been sidelined for that long, if you've been someone no one wanted to be in your presence, if you've been the person that they've avoided and they've had mean things to say about you, but now you're going to be front and center in the midst of everything, and all those that are looking at you have opinions about you, your life and what you are and who you are and what you've done. And instead, Jesus says, I want you all to see this because this woman's faith is a picture of what I'm inviting every single one of you to experience. And I want you to know that because this is what will transform your life and change the way you live. Now, this story isn't concluded because remember, Jairus was at the beginning. Now, if one think of from Jairus' perspective for just a second, what do you think he thought when Jesus stopped to deal with this lady? If I'm Jairus, I'm like, yeah, get back to her later. I've got someone that needs you now. So come on, quit this because I need you here to deal with what I'm dealing with. And so this all happens, and Jesus has just told this woman that she's healed and it's beautiful. And someone comes up to Jairus and said, Jairus, you might as well just tell this guy to go home because your daughter has died. And Jesus hears this. I can only imagine Jairus' face when he hears this message. It goes sullen. And Jesus says, Jairus, don't give up hope. Have faith, don't be scared, because your faith is calling us into this, and I will take care of her. And so Jesus goes, you can read the rest of the story for yourself, but he goes to where Jairus' daughter is, and he heals her, and she steps out of the room that they had put her when they thought she was dead. And I want to pause in this picture, this environment. And I want you to just imagine all those things from all those perspectives and all that's going on in the midst of what's being told here. And I want you to pause and say, what is amazing here? What doesn't seem to make sense, and maybe doesn't seem to make sense in the life and the world that we live? And I would wonder if it was this. Jesus lived in such a way that he was always asking the question, who else? Who else? Who else needs my touch? Who else needs my presence? I can be focused and heading towards something because globally what we know is Jesus had one focus, and it was heading towards Calvary and the cross and proclaiming all that was about the kingdom of God. That was the main thing. But as he's going about healing and caring and teaching, he always had his eyes open and aware and looking for everyone that needed him. And so there's this big question he asks about who else. As we conclude our Thanksgiving and gratitude series, which we're concluding today, we're picking up this theme. This is what's going to launch us into Advent. It's what's going to launch us into considering what it looks like for those of us who are part of the meeting house to ask this question for the next 5 weeks together. Who else? Who else? Who else is Jesus inviting us to see that we haven't currently paid attention to? Who else is Jesus asking and inviting us to bring with us? Who else is Jesus asking to make friends with? Who else is Jesus inviting us to take out to dinner? Who else is Jesus inviting us to go to their game or to watch their performance? Who else is Jesus putting on our radar of someone that is around us who's in need of his care and his touch and his love? Who else will be the question that permeates the next 5 weeks of our time together. And so this morning, I want to invite you to make that question the question that you sit with. In order to do this, we are going to invite 3 different things, and we're going to go 2, 3, 4 to remember them. First, there's going to be 2 reminders about who else. There's going to be 3 action steps that help us to get to who else. And it's going to take place over 4 weeks where we ask the question over and over and over, who else? I hope we ask the question enough times that you're really sick and tired of asking who else. Because about the time we get tired of asking that question is the time that it sinks into the depths of who we are, and we begin to take on the picture of what Jesus did walking through this town, seeing Jairus, knowing he was going to take care of his daughter, but in the meantime being interrupted by some other who else. So here's how we're going to start this. We're going to give you 2 reminders today. When you walk out of any of our venues, wherever you are today, there are going to be 2 things that are given to you as you exit. And if you're online and you're wondering, how in the world do I get those? In the little comments, if you just let us know where you are and where we can send them, we will figure out a way to get them sent to you this week and get those to you as well. But 2 things. One is going to be this simple little bracelet that says, who else? You're going to walk out of here today with one of these, every single person. And you might say, well, I'm not a bracelet wearing kind of person, and I don't really want one of those, and I want to help you be creative to keep this in front of you. You can put it on your wrist. You can put it on your ankle. You can take a picture of it and put the picture on the front of your screen on your phone. I've seen people put these on their water bottles. I've seen them put them on their dashboards so it sits there every day that they get in their car. You can put this in your bathroom by the mirror so that you see it every time you get on there. You can attach it to your watch. You can attach it to your keychain. You can use some super glue and put it on some other things. I don't care what you do with it. But however you get who else emblazoned upon your brain, feel free to be creative in how you do it. But I wonder if we could be creative and thoughtful together. What would happen in our worlds? What would happen in our jobs? What would happen in our schools? What would happen in our families? What would happen in our neighborhoods if we couldn't escape this question that just kept being shoved to the front of our mind? Who else? Who else? Who else? For some of us, we are so stuck in a rut of life that we don't know how to get out of it. I would suggest that maybe one way that God might help us remove ourselves from the ruts we're in is by taking some attention off of that rut and thinking about who else is around us. For some of us, we have people that we don't even see anymore because they've been close to us or in our proximity. We work with them every day. We shop around them every day, and we've forgotten who they are. But this question of who else all of a sudden awakens us again, that there are people around us that God might want to allow us to speak hope and joy and a picture of what Christmas is to them. Second, for every person or family, you will receive this envelope, and you will notice what it says. Do not wait until December 25th to open. This will begin next Sunday, and so you can get this in your hands now. And I just want to show you real quickly what all is in here. So we have this little Advent read-along that every day has some verses, some scripture to read, some questions to answer. It also gives all the information about the different groups that you're going to hear about in just a moment that we're supporting through our Christmas Give. It gives us some direction of how to stay on track and keep asking the question of who else. There's also this really cool journey through Advent that you can put this on your wall. And parents, this is made for you specifically, that you would put this somewhere that your kiddos see this, whether they're young or older, or we don't have kids at home anymore, but this is something that we do. And there are stickers then that you just use to fill this in as you go, with a final sticker, the Merry Christmas sticker, that goes on the 25th. but we keep this journey together. And when we do these kind of things together, it creates some common language, it creates common opportunities, it creates places where our kids, when they're talking to each other, there's creative ways that as parents we go about doing these kind of things. But for them and for us, it's a reminder over and over and over that Jesus was constantly about the who else. And we have been the who else. He came into the world to care for us and save us. So you'll get a bracelet and a packet, and that's the first thing. Those are the first two reminders. And then there's three action steps, or they are three action steps. The second one is then Christmas Give. If you happen to be new to the Meeting House, Christmas Give is one of the most enjoyable and amazing things that happens in December here at the Meeting House. We have, for years and years now, decided that one of the things God's asked us to do and to be faithful with is to partner with other organizations within our area and around the world. And we take an offering here and then we just give that away to all of those places and people and organizations who are doing good works in God's kingdom. And this year is no different. We have 4 different organizations that we're going to be supporting. And I want to just pause and invite you to take a look at this video that reminds us of why this is an important part of our discipleship.
I'm on the missions team. Christmas is a crazy time where we get to do all sorts of fun and magical things. And as we prepare our Christmas list...
All right, can we pause that and start that over?
Hi, my name is Lauren Bennett. I'm on the missions team. Christmas is a crazy time where we get to do all sorts of fun and magical things. And as we prepare our Christmas list, it starts to feel like there's a lot of things that I need to buy and do and give and think about. But I needed to take a moment to realize that the Christmas season is about a lot more than that. And it's the opportunity to really recognize all the blessings that we already have. The Christmas Give is a really great opportunity for our church to remember our blessings and share our blessings with the world. We are partnering with 4 organizations. The first organization is Big World Missions, and they are an organization that spreads the good news of the gospel around the globe. The second organization that we get to partner with this season is Hope Walks. They spread healing to children with clubfoot. The third organization is Community Cares, which cares for the needs of the homeless population in Cumberland County. The fourth organization is Pathway Church, or their after-school program. One thing I love about the Christmas Give is a really great opportunity for me to talk to my kids about generosity. Right now, all they're thinking about is their Christmas list, and it's a really great opportunity to put that to the side and to talk about how as kingdom people, we're called to live differently, and how we can't always be thinking about ourselves. Following Jesus means thinking about the world and giving generously, sometimes even sacrificially, to others to see God's work of healing, of restoration, and of hope. The Christmas Give is an opportunity to be generous beyond normal tithes and offerings. A percentage of each donation is allocated to each of the 4 organizations. We will be hearing from each of these organizations to hear more about the good work that they're doing in the world and in our local community. I really hope that you will all join with the Meeting House in being generous. No gift is too small. We want you to come with us on this journey of blessing the world, of seeing lives changed, of advancing the kingdom in real and tangible and impacting ways that bring hope to the local community and around the world.
Over the next 4 weeks, you're going to hear each week about one of the different organizations. And we are so excited for this. It is... I'll be honest, the first year that I was here and we did this, I was amazed of thinking, man, God, how in the world did all that happen? That was during COVID, and you might remember that season. What a crazy season, and yet this community is amazingly generous. And each year, it continues to move forward, and more people are being helped at greater capacity. And so this year, we have 3 goals for what we're going to do through the Christmas Give. We're going to make the first one that everyone is involved. that everyone, if you call the meeting house your home, if this is a community that you're a part of, we want to invite you to be part of this. That together this happens. It isn't because there's one or two or three people that give large amounts. It's because every single one of us give what we're able beyond our tithes and offerings into this Christmas give that blesses. And you might say, but my $10 won't matter. It matters, I promise you. But what if I only have just a little bit? Give your little bit. Jesus has a few things to say about that. Some of us, we've been blessed immensely. And this is that time of the year where he asks us to give big, to give beyond what's comfortable. And it's out of this abundance that he has blessed us with that we get an opportunity to give at a very high amount. It doesn't make it any more valuable than those that don't have anything, but it is together we're moving forward faithfully in what God has asked us to do. These 4 organizations will be blessed year after year after year when we send these checks, when we let the different organizations know, here's what God has done through the people of the meeting house, and here's a check for you. There are tears in eyes. There is an ability to do what they didn't think they would be able to do. There's resources that give them a little bit of space to breathe. And we trust again that that will happen this year. And our goal is that another $200,000 this year would be brought in through the Christmas Give and be able to be given away to these 4 organizations. I am so excited. This is one of the things that has helped our family. The discipleship for my kids, of helping them understand that wherever they are, and they're in college now, but whatever God's given to them, he has asked them and invited them to be part of his kingdom. When they were little and they had $1 or $5 that they would get at their birthday, oftentimes as we talked about, well, what do you want to do with that? And how do you want to invest that in God's kingdom in some way? And they would take a portion of that and they would give. Parents, this is the kind of stuff that transforms our kiddos as they learn what it's like to live in an economy of God that is not scarcity, but it is abundance, and that we get the opportunity to partner with him in these kind of things. And so I'm excited that we get to journey through the next 4 weeks, that we'll get to keep the count going and looking at where it's at and then celebrating together as we see that conclude at the end of December. And then lastly, these are encouragements. These are opportunities for every one of us to have an active role beyond money to each of the 4 organizations that we're going to highlight. So on Sunday mornings, we'll highlight one organization, and following the service at all of our venues, there will be something out in the lobby that you get to be a part of and can take for that week to encourage, to celebrate, and to honor those that we will be ultimately giving toward. For example, when we do Hope Walks, there are these little, I think you saw them in the video there, these little braces that get put onto the feet of these kids that have had surgeries to keep them straight. And they're going to be here, and you're going to be given a pair of those little booties, and you get to draw on them, create this design on them. There's a tag that will go with them that you'll get to follow them all the way to Africa somewhere where they're given to a family, and you'll get to see it land, which is so cool. There's going to be encouragement that we get to write for those who are struggling with housing at this point of their life. And as they connect with Community Cares, they're going to get a journal. And in that journal will be notes from the meeting house encouraging people, telling them that they matter, that they are valuable. And as they read those, there's going to be these encouraging words for the next year that they are a part of. And so each week, I want to encourage you that as you're able, you go to one of the tables in the lobbies, pick up one of those pieces, whether it's a letter, whether it's a packet with the coloring for the booties, whatever that might be, that is part of what we do. So 3 things in the next 4 weeks. My prayer is this, that if there's one thing that happens out of Christmas Give, out of Advent, out of the Who Else initiative that we'll have over these weeks, is that it causes us to start asking and praying this prayer every morning when we get up and leave. It's a simple prayer. Is Jesus, who else do you want me to see today? Jesus, who else do you want me to see today? Can you just repeat that with me wherever you are? Jesus, who else do you want me to see today? And as we go through this series and go through these weeks of being reminded of what this is, there's going to be a bracelet somewhere in your life that's going to remind you. There's going to be a journey through the Advent calendar that will remind you of the who else. But more importantly, there's a community of people who will help to remind us all that this is exactly where God wants us. Because as Jesus came into the world, he saw the who else. He saw you, he saw me, he saw our neighbors, he saw our coworkers. Who else needed redemption? Who else needed forgiveness of sins? Who else needed a new life? That was us. May we see through Jesus the people that he's inviting us to see. So God, here we are on the verge and the start of our Advent season. God, we believe that you've asked us to consider this question. We believe that you've put it in front of us, that wherever we are in life, wherever we are, even in our journey with you, this question of who else is a question that every one of us can ask. And what we believe is that you will show us a who else. Day by day by day, you'll allow us to see those that we didn't see before. You'll provide miraculous encounters where we meet people and we say, wow, how in the world did I end up in that conversation? How in the world did I end up inviting them to go with me to that event? Because God, I believe that you're constantly watching. You're constantly looking, and you're constantly willing to use people who are looking with you to see who else. And so, Jesus, I'm going to pray that you would bless the next 4 weeks of our journey together. That you would surprise us. That you would challenge us. You would equip us. You would give us perseverance and dreams of how we cooperate with you to see the kingdom of God show up in our world and people's lives changed. We entrust this to you. We thank you for the opportunity, and we thank you for this community, a community who cares deeply about making the hope of Jesus known in our world so that everyone might learn what it looks like to live faithfully after you. We dedicate these weeks to you. We dedicate our lives to you. We dedicate what we see, what we hear, and what we sense to you so that others might come to know your love. In Jesus' name, amen.